Let's go to Matthew chapter 26, verse 39. Matthew 26, verse 39. The scope is going to move through Matthew 26, 36 through 46. Also, Mark 14, 32 through 42. And also, Luke 22, 39 through 46. Are you ready? Matthew 26, 39, the text reads as follows. He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Somebody say, as you will. Take your seat. Contextually, this is the first of three prayers Yeshua would offer before his arrest in the garden. In principle, this speaks to decisions in general. I want to concentrate on pivotal decisions. Somebody say pivotal decisions. Furthermore, pointedly, those carrying eternal implications. Bear in mind, all progress is a point-to-point process. Keying right here, we'll all arrive at the reality and totality of our decisions. I'll say it one more time. We'll all arrive at the reality and totality of our decisions. Follow me here. At this point in the text, 8 of his talmidim were told, "Sit here while I pray." If you would, the outer court. Peter, James, and John were told, "Stay here." They went a little further, and they were told, "Stay here and watch with me." Yeshua went a little further. Somebody say a little further. He went a little further, and he sought his Father. Let's talk about some decisions. Let's talk about the decision to deal. The decision to deal. Deal meaning to concern oneself with an issue having the intention of a conclusion. Having the intention of reaching a conclusion. The first time that Yeshua prays in Matthew 26 and 39, he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed. And he says, "Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless," somebody say, nevertheless. "Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Nevertheless, watch this. This is good to me. Nevertheless, in the Greek is pronounced plain. It's enunciated plain, and it means, ride with me please, albeit. It means notwithstanding. It means howbeit. Side note, I want you to sonically think of flight, because it's enunciated plain. So I want you to sonically think of flight, if you would, an aircraft. No, not A-I-R-H-E-I-R, an aircraft. Are you with me so far? Hang on to this. Somebody say initial flight. Weather may shift. Turbulence may occur. Nevertheless, I say the weather may shift. Whether or not they decide, watch this, to do the will, make sure that you, when you arrive at your decision, I'm talking already, I say make sure that when you arrive at your decision is nevertheless. Their weather may change, because we got a lot of fair weather followers. There were some fair weather followers in John chapter 6, and as long as the doctrine was according to their thinking, they could follow him. But as soon as he shifted the doctrine and started offering them communion, watch this, in spiritual form, they said, "This is a hard teaching. Who can hear it?" And watch this. this, they left him and they walked with him no more. Don't let the weather change your flight. I say, don't let the weather disturb your plane. Somebody say, nevertheless. We already know. I said, don't let it disturb don't let it disturb your aircraft. I gotta go because y'all with me already. We gonna rock this morning. You ready to go some more? Watch this. Initial flight. Weather may shift. Turbulence may occur. Nevertheless, somebody say nevertheless. To go deeper, the root word is pronounced pion. Plion, and it means this, watch this, more in quality. More in quality, okay. It means more in quality. It also means more in quantity. It also means the major portion. Somebody say the major portion. The root word means the major portion. The text tells us after he prayed, this first instance, he found his talmidim asleep. And he tells Peter directly, watch and pray. I left you in charge and you sleep. I left you to watch over me as I'm going into prayer, and here you are asleep. Know this, the decision to deal pursues a due process. I said the decision to deal pursues a due process. Listen close. Decision weighs contemplation, choices, and challenge. I say it weighs contemplation, choices, and challenge. Contemplation, all things considered. So when you go into a decision, even if it's a particular decision, you can consider a plethora of things. You can consider many things. So it's all things considered, because you can easily become distracted instead of making a decision. Choices. So the choices right along these lines: commencement, in other words, to get started; compromise, do I compromise? Convenience, cancellation. So commencement, compromise, and compromise can hold convenience, if you will, and what convenience is kind of dangerous sometimes, because sometimes when you do things out of convenience, you take the easy way. I was talking to my wife about this, and watch this. If you are hungry and you don't have anything at the house, and the gas station is closer than the grocery store, help me, Holy Ghost. I said, if the gas station is closer than the grocery store, now you know you ought not get nothing off the racks at 7. You know what? But you just. And so what do? You go to the convenience. You go to the store of convenience. I'll leave that where it is. But it's questionable about that thing, convenience. So you hear what I'm saying? Or cancellation. I'm not just going to do this. Yeshua says, let this cup pass from me. Challenge is this: contending paradigms. Contending paradigms, because watch this. The things that I'm about to do, even when I'm making, we can say, a basic decision, there's still contending paradigms, because if I'm trying to budget, for instance, if I'm trying to budget, I can have things that are contending. Which thing do I pay first? If I'm on a budget and I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm barely scraping by, what do I want to keep on? Do I want to keep on the lights or the water? You know what I'm saying? Do I want to fill up my car? Am I thinking about that bus pass? I don't know what is going on. Am I trying to ask for a ride for somebody that's close? Am I trying to figure something else out, because I got these contending paradigms? Watch this. Contending paradigms are not always about wickedness. It's just about else. I said it's just about outside interest. It's about other agendas. It's about alternatives. Huh. And here's the problem with alternatives is if we take the alternative over the assignment, then we're in disobedience. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Let's move to the decision to drink. What? The decision to drink. What you say? I said what I said. The decision to drink. Drink in this regard, meaning intake, digest, and absorb the contents of a fit vessel. So you got to understand that I'm not bringing anything into the text. So he talk about the text. Because watch this, the cup is a fit vessel. It's not the vessel that's the issue, it's the contemplation. That's the issue because he wants to, watch this, he wants to cancel the cup. He wants his father to consider something else. If it be possible. So this brings to mind this, watch this. Even when I know my assignment, even when I'm sure about my assignment, questions are still going to come up. Because some of us are like, I'm sure about my assignment. Guess what? You can be sure about your assignment, but questions still come up. Anybody know that they're on assignment and been on assignment, but questions still come up because you sure you want me to do this way? Because this way don't make sense to me. This way is going to cost me something that I have to, watch this, I have to think about. I got to sit with it a little bit. I got to let it register. I got to see if I really want to go through with this. Do I want to see it through? The second time that Yeshua goes to pray, Matthew 26 and 42, again a second time, because I got to give you the text, again a second time, somebody say a second time. Say he didn't go through with his decision on the first prayer. Because this is a pivotal decision, so I'm trying to give you keys, watch this, actual strategy for pivotal decisions, because sometimes we'll just move without pausing to pray. And some of us won't even pause to pray because we don't want to decide to deal. I don't, anybody just know God is calling you to do something, but you don't want to deal with it? Yeshua at least has thoughts of not dealing with this, though he knows the deal. How is it that you know the deal, but don't want to do the deal? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Somebody say, do the deal. Watch this. But then you got to come to a decision to drink. Again, the second time he went away and prayed, he says, Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done. If there's any other way. But since there's not any other way, let your will be, say, since there's not any other way, let your will be done. Here's the truth, there is another way, just not his. There's no other way that he's going to be pleased with except the exact thing that he's told you to do. And sometimes we're looking for what he's told other people to do. And we're following their path and wondering why we're not getting the results that they're getting because, watch this, this is what God told. And sometimes we get upset with people because, like, why is it working for you? Well, I was willing to do the will. And watch this, we're going to have contention with the will. If the Son of God has contention with the will of God, why do you not think that you and I are not going to have contention with the will of God, especially at this rate of pressure? Especially at this precious and pivotal moment. Because what he does here, watch this, not only is going to change his life. Okay. What he decides to do, help me, Holy Ghost, what he decides to do is not only going to change his life, but it's also going to change the lives around him intimately. It's also going to change the lives around him universally. Watch this. In similar fashion, the decisions that you and I make, watch this, are going to affect our lives directly. And they're going to affect the lives of those in intimacy with us. And they're going to affect the lives that are corporately with us. Watch this. There are decisions that you make in your spiritual life that will affect people on your job. Oh. Somebody say the decision to drink. The decision to drink. Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done. Again, afterwards, he found his talmidim asleep. The text tells us their eyes were heavy. Other texts say that they were filled with sorrow. Listen close. The decision to drink takes pure petition. The decision to drink takes pure petition. Sober spirit. Somebody say sober spirit. Order taken. Say order taken. No chaser. Sober spirit. Order taken. Like y'all ain't never ordered a drink before. No, that ain't none of y'all. Watch this, and if it wasn't a drink, it was something. Don't make me walk down your street, kick down your... I'm just saying, it was something else. Some of y'all ain't even ordered at the counter. You had somebody bring it to you. You know what, let me just... Around Yarmouth and Weston, we call this here a little 20. Okay, I'm just saying. Let me get a little for my cataract. But you ordered something. I told you intoxicated. Watch this, is anything that makes you act out of your mind. Pride is intoxicating. Lies are intoxicating. Gossip is intoxicating. Mess isn't. Rumors are intoxicating. Don't make me come down your street. I ain't never drunk nothing in my life, but you've been filled with rage. You've been mournful to paralysis where you wouldn't even move. But you've been intoxicated. You've been drunk with, okay. But we talking about a sober spirit. Order taken. No chaser. Key in right here, decision bears what is distinguishing, definitive, directional. I say distinguishing, definitive, directional, distinguishing, serving identity. Watch this. What we decide to do is going to start, watch this, changing the way that we appear. I say what we decide to do is going to start determining the way that we appear. Watch this. Based on what somebody does is how you really look at them. If they do you wrong, no matter how good looking they are, they look like trash. Oh, maybe that was a little too hard. Right? And have you ever, come on now, I don't want to look at nobody because I ain't talking about nobody. But have you ever been around somebody that wasn't all that appeasing to the eyes, but they were attractive because of what they do? Watch this. Let me tell you about the ugly Savior that we serve. Or different spelling, plain. He was nothing to, the text says he was nothing to look at. I know every movie you see, he got a perm. done seen them with red hair. Huh? I done seen them with blonde hair. Huh? Brunette might be somewhere in the ballpark, but right? And every time he walked, there's like this glow around him. He was nothing. If he was that attractive, how come Judas had to kiss him for the soldiers to know who he? Watch this. Yeshua could walk through a crowd and nobody noticed. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Let me go on because I don't want to get stuck there. But when we're looking at, watch this, the decision to drink, and we're doing it with no chaser, and we're saying, you know what, no matter what, I understand that this is going to serve identity, it's going to watch this, it's going to determine, it's going to dictate the way that I appear, the way that one appears. Watch this, definitive serving evidence. Whatever you do, there's going to be evidence for it. Whether you do it in the dark or you do it in the light, watch this, there will be evidence. I know the scripture says there will be glory, but watch this, there will be evidence after this. Say, after my decision, there will be evidence. Woo, boy, now if you done made a certain kind of decision, you ought to be giving glory right now. Watch this. There's going to be evidence after this decision. I decided, I don't know about what you decided. I made my decision when I said, you know what, let me come back over here. Directional. Serving placement. Whatever you decide is going to put you in a certain place. Watch this. It could be a state of mind. You ain't got to move nowhere for you to be in a different state of, come on now. But it's going to put you in a different place. Are you with me so far? I want you to consider this a direct flight. Somebody say a direct flight. Man, this is about to bless you. Somebody say a direct flight. A direct flight, watch this. A direct flight travels from a port of origin. In other words, an airport. Help me. In other words, an airport. I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Let me work this out. A direct flight travels from a port of origin to a port of destination. Somebody say a port of origin to a port of destination. It uses a single flight number. Here's the thing that got me. Possibly involving one or more stops on the way. He's on his way to the cross. But he doesn't go, he's going directly to the cross. Somebody say he's going directly to the cross. But he makes a few stops. Say he's going directly to the cross. But he makes a few stops. And watch this, one of his stops is in the garden. And watch this, before you get to that crucifixion, to that place of sacrifice. Sometimes you're going to have to make some stops along the way. And watch this, he knows his assignment, but he's got questions. And he stops along the way, and he stops in the garden, because he was by a brook called Kidron. And he prays there too. We'll get to that in a minute. He prays there too. But then he goes to a garden. He goes to a garden and he tells 8 of his disciples, he says, you know what, y'all sit here. Then he takes 3 more disciples, he says, watch this, y'all sit there, y'all stay right here. I'm going to seek my Father. I'm going to seek him for myself. So say he made some stops on the way. So he stopped to pray, and the first time he says, nevertheless, not my will, but thy be done. But watch this, the weather shifts on him, if you can ride with me. The weather shifts on him because, watch this, he gets, if you would, he's going to see what his Talmud are up to. But they ain't up to nothing because they sleep. And once he sees them sleep, regardless of what you think about what's happening, once he sees them sleep, he's like, look, y'all sleep? You know what? Let me go pray again. Y'all couldn't rock with me? I'll die for you, Lord. Stay up an hour. Let me get out this sermon before I take an hour and y'all be asleep on me. But are you hearing what I'm saying? So he goes in this second time, and he went and prayed, and this time he says, if the cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done. But this direct flight, say a direct flight. So direct flight uses a single flight number, a single identifier, if you will, possibly involving one or more stops on the way. However, somebody say however. However, it doesn't require passengers to change planes. Say, I might make a few stops, but I'm not changing my nevertheless. Let me make it plain. Let me make it plain. Watch this. I might stop because I got to pray and be like, Father, can you take this cup? You know what? Nevertheless. And I might get a little farther. You know what? Can you take this cup? You know what? Nevertheless. But the whole time, I'm going where he sent me. Say, I'm going where he sends me. I may have to stop along the way, but it's a direct flow. That ought to encourage somebody, because sometimes we think because we stop, watch this, that we're not honoring God. Sometimes you got to stop to check in. I got to stop along my way and make sure. Now, God, I know I heard you, but watch this. My heart is troubled. And right now I'm praying so much. This is Yeshua speaking. I'm praying so much that it's like I'm bleeding. I'm resisting on the blood, if you will. It's so pressure involved with this decision, because this one's pivotal. Somebody say, this one's pivotal. Okay. This one's pivotal. Let's address the next decision. The decision to die. The decision to die. Die in this regard, meaning to be submitted. Wasn't expecting that definition, were you? Watch this. To be submitted, to be a sacrifice, to be slain. I say to be submitted, to be a sacrifice, to be slain. Listen close. To lay down a life. Somebody say to give. Listen close. To give out. To give up. It ain't even the way that you think. I say to give out, to give up, to give way, to give rise, to give hope, to give promise, to give service, to give opportunity, to give access, to give evidence, to give all, to give glory. I want to do it one more time because it felt good to me. Somebody say, to die is to give. The decision to die is a decision to give out. It's a decision to give up. Not that way. Watch this, give up. Watch this, he gave up his spirit. To give way, watch this. By him giving up, he gave away for you. He gave rise through his resurrection, but you can't give rise until you give up. You missed it. I said you can't give rise until you... Okay. If you will not humble yourself, you cannot be exalted. Are you following the principle? To give rise, and when he gave rise, guess what he gave? He gave hope. All from a decision to die. He gave promise, did he not? He gave service, did he not? He gave an opportunity for you and I, did he not? He gave us access, did he not? He gave us evidence, watch this, through emptiness. So he gave us evidence through emptiness. Watch this. So in other words, he testifies, he brings fruit from an empty tomb. And so watch this. Sometimes your testimony comes from where you aren't. Wow, God help my soul. I say sometimes So you got a testimony because of where you, y'all thought y'all was going to leave me here. Lazarus had a testimony because of where he, every day, you understand what I'm saying? Because the sheep know the shepherd's voice. And the shepherd calls them by name. Somebody say, he knows me by my name. Lazarus! Let me act like I've done this before. Don't miss this. Yeshua decided to die. Die because his father said. Die to himself. To be clear, die to his own will. And die for our sake. John 10:17 through 18 in the Amplified, the Messiah says this, for this reason, the Father loves me because I lay down my own life so that I may take it back. No one takes it away from me, but I lay it down voluntarily. Nobody can take your decision. Nobody, you got to lay it. No one takes it away from me, but I lay it down voluntarily. I am authorized and have power to lay it down and to give it up. Watch this. He did it to show himself mighty. He did it to satisfy the law. He did it to succeed over death and the grave. The third time. Somebody say the third time. Say there's stops along the way. It's a direct flight, though. Am I in the text? I'm making stops, but I'm not switching planes. I'm making stops, but I'm not changing my nevertheless. I start considering other things for a moment, but I'm not changing. Somebody ought to give God glory right now. I'm not changing my nevertheless. I'm not going to say that other things are not going to come up because that's a lie. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to consider other things because that's a lie. But what I am going to say this, watch this, it's a direct flight. There's stops along the way, but I'm not changing my plane. I'm not switching my nevertheless. Weather may change. Turbulence may occur. Somebody say nevertheless. Nevertheless. The third time, Matthew 26:44, he left them, went away again. Say again. And prayed the third time. Just so the Bible makes it clear. This ain't even that deep. The Bible makes it clear. Say a third time. If you've been listening, I've been doing thirds the whole message. Anyway, let me come back over here. Are you with me? He prayed a third time, saying the same words. Somebody say nevertheless. Watch this. So he had the same consideration, but he also had the same conclusion. Woo! God help my soul. I have the same considerations, but I come to the same conclusion. Say, I'm arriving at my decision. Nevertheless. Nevertheless. Again afterwards. Again afterwards, he found his Talmud asleep. The text tells us that he asked, are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand. I've made my decision. I've made my decision. Don't miss this. The decision to die is a necessity to produce. I say the decision to die is a necessity to produce. John 12:24, the Messiah says, most assuredly I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone. But if it dies, somebody say, if it dies. If it dies, it produces Much grain. Somebody say, go with the grain. Catch the lesson. This decision navigates objectives, options, and outcomes. One more time. I say decision navigates objectives, options, and outcomes. Objectives meaning intended actions and assignments. Intended actions and assignments. Options offer alternatives and attachments. Boy, y'all better catch that one. I said it offers alternatives and attachments. See, some of us can steer clear of alternatives. What we can't steer clear of is attachments. Hello, Abraham. Watch this. It was a lot. It was a lot that was his attachment. That's not what God said. God said you and your household. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I didn't say bring all that with you. Huh? Watch this. When I told you to cross over Jordan, I told you, don't you bring nothing out of Jericho. I told you, Achan, don't you take nothing out of, but here you are. Holding on to the thing that's holding up the whole congregation. All because you want to hide it at that. And I wonder how many his whole household went down, by the way. But I wonder how many in the household were complicit to his conclusion. Because decisions that you make are not only going to affect you, but they're going to affect every. Did I not show it again? His decision to be deceptive. To be deceitful. Because he wanted to possess the cursed thing. And he thought maybe if I get, watch this, we're making a stop on our way to promise. And if I could just get past this next stop, maybe I can hold on to what God never told me to touch in the first. If I could just make it past this stop. But watch this, not only did it stop him, it stopped the whole camp. I don't want to put this on nobody, but watch this. Sometimes I'm going to have to get rid of it and you. Because watch this. I might have to make some stops, but it's a direct. Nobody told you to put that in your carry-on. Somebody say, make it plain. Yeah. You hear what I'm saying? I got to be me. But are you hearing the word of the Lord? And so it manages these things, and so there's alternatives and attachments. Watch this. Outcomes manage the subsequent arrival and aftermath. At some point, you're going to have to arrive at a decision. And that decision is going to have an outcome, and it's going to have an aftermath. You understand what I'm saying? There's some things that's going to happen after this. Take note here, John 17, 1 through 26 records that Yeshua prays in a threefold manner. As a note, according to John 18 and 1, this occurs before they reach the garden. So he prays before they reach the garden. Y'all with me? He prays for himself. Verse 1 through 5. He prays for his disciples. Verse 6 through 19. He prays for whosoever will. Verse 20 and 26. So watch this. Verse 20, because we weren't his disciples at that point in time. So we watch this. He was praying for us before we got here. If you understood how intentional God was for you, watch this. Before you even showed up, he was like this. For all those who will believe. Watch this. Can I put in these words? Whosoever will, watch, whoever's going to believe, I'm praying for them also. So watch this. He prays in a threefold manner before he gets to the garden and prays 3 times. There's going to be some stops along the way, but it's a direct. Let's land this thing. For the yielded, the process of decision takes the Father's direction. I say this again. I say the process of decision, that's really laid right there. But the process of decision takes the Father's direction. One more time. I say the process of decision takes the Father's direction, as you will. Somebody say, as you will. Receive this. Deciding on the Father's will ensures a safe landing. It ensures a safe landing. Oh, receive this, that watch this, when we decide on, it doesn't matter how tumultuous, it doesn't matter how much turbulence was happening, watch this, as we were traversing where he had us to go through, as we were going through what we had to go through, it doesn't matter how rocky it was. Has anybody ever been on a flight with some turbulence? Has anybody ever been on a flight where the weather shifted? I want to be inside the house when it's lightning and I'm on the ground. But Father, help my soul, if you ever seen lightning while you was flying. Huh? You ever heard thunder while you was flying? Or you hear what I'm saying? All you saying is, I don't care how we land, I just care that we land. You ever been on one of the flights when they land, people start clapping? And I remember one time we landed somewhere, we were starting our vacation, and we landed in the flight, had this little thing, and they clapped, and somebody was like, why are people clapping? I don't think you understand, because we landed safely, because I'm walking off. Watch this. Yeshua landed safely, though they took him out. He landed safely because he decided to die. He landed safely because he decided to deal. He landed safely because he decided to drink. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so now, because he's decided to die, that means that he's decided on destiny. He's decided on destiny, and destiny has brought him to, watch this, the other side of death. And now not only is he on the other side of death, but he has power over it. He's got keys to it, which means that he owns it. I can do with it what I want to, including throw it away. You missed what I just said. I own it. And because I own it, I can throw it away. Because in due season, death and the grave, hell, Sheol, lake of fire. No, ain't no devil in hell. He roaming to and fro, seeking whom he may devour, seeing whom he can distract, seeing whom he can but influence into a different decision. So watch this. If you are under the influence of the devil, you drunk. You're intoxicated. You're inebriated. You high, zooted, blowed. Oh, sorry, just. And here's the thing. Anybody that's ever been in those states, you know you be thinking differently. People that can't fight suddenly get liquid courage. Get whooped, toe up. Now you toe up and toe up. That's crazy. That's crazy. You toe up 2 times. But when you make a decision to drink with a sober spirit, taking orders, no chaser, you make a decision to die. Die because the Father says. Die to yourself. Not for the sake of this gospel. Are you here for the sake of a testimony? Huh? For the sake of a testimony. Watch this. He died for a testimony. He made a decision to die for an opportunity and a testimony. Watch this, and a victory. Somebody say an opportunity, a testimony, and a victory. We have to make the decision to deal, the decision to drink, the decision to die. We got to weigh our decisions, bear our decisions, navigate with our decisions. How are we going to do that? We got to process. Somebody say we got to process. We got to petition so that we can produce. The initial ascent, the direct flight, the safe landing. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen. We'll all arrive at the reality and the totality of our decisions. I want you to understand that the depth of your decision is going to determine your destiny. The depth of our decision determines our destiny. Are you going to decide to deal? I know you got some problems to go through, but they're not going to be going through without deciding to deal with it. You got some messed up relationships that you need to fix. Watch this. You got to decide to deal with it. You got to decide to drink. I got to intake this. I got to absorb it. Because watch this. This is what God is calling me into. Because sometimes right relationship is going to cause me into sacrifice. I say sometimes right relationship is going to call me into sacrifice. It's going to call me into submission. It's going to cause me to be slain. But I got to die. I got to die because Father says. I got to die to myself. I got to die for the sake of a testimony. I want to close with this. Nevertheless, the weather may shift. Turbulence may occur. But if I decide on the Father's will, I'll land safely. If you believe, even if it's up in the air right now, if you believe that He's going to land you safely, why don't you give the pilot a hand clapper? Why don't you give? Your message entitlement is simply the process of decision. It's that deep. It's that serious. It's that imperative that when we're making these pivotal decisions, that we take a direct flight. And every time you stop and pray. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Process. Petition. Produce. Give Him praise right there.